two-time Academy Award winner, kind enough to join us here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good, Rich.
So how did you get involved with the ceremony? Did Dodgers reach out? Did Vin reach out? How did you get hooked up here?
Yeah, Steve Brenner reached out from the Dodgers, and I at first said I didn't say a thing. I mean, maybe a lot of people's first instinct is to say, yes, I'm in, I'll do it. But I kind of thought to myself, there's got to be 5 people better than me. And I didn't say anything because I have a tendency to take them maybe more seriously than I should. You know, somebody says, will you speak on behalf of somebody? And so it took me a while to say yes.
And so is it just safe to draw the lines between Friday night and For Love of the Game, where Vin provided the play-by-play for the baseball scenes in that film? Is that where you first met Vin, Kevin?
No, I got to tell you, I met him one time on the golf course. I'm not really a golfer per se. I'll kind of wander out there. And about probably 20 years ago, I think I played golf with Ben. And what happened is something really unusual. And I think that you guys or anybody that's played sports would understand about. I mean, I knew who he was, obviously, but so well. And about the third hole in, he looked over at me and says, I think it's your turn, Kevy. And when a guy puts a Y on the end of your name, my dad did that, okay? There's something so familiar and so how he handled that I think I had such an appreciation that he took that chance that he could say that to me. Hey, Kevy, I think it's your chance. And that stuck with me a long time, and obviously he did For Love of the Game, which was just kind of amazing the day he came in and did that. And then, I went up to see him in the season. And then when Steve said, hey, Vin would like you to speak, he feels like that would be important. Mm-hmm. So, again, I didn't say yes. I really had to think about it. Can I do this? Because if I was going to do it, I wanted to say it as if everybody who wanted to say something, because was kind of speaking for them.
So I'm mandated to ask you, how'd you hit the ball after he called you Kevy? Did you stripe it down the middle, Kevin? Did you hit that?
I was on the green. I just looked at it. It's kind of a very personal thing. And when another guy takes a chance that he can say that thing to you, there was just something about him. Okay.
So did you jar the putt then? Did you get it in there?
I probably did not, but it's a better story if I did.
Kevin Costner joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So where does this rank? Because I remember the first time that I met you was at the All-Star game in Fenway Park, where you narrated the entrances of some of the all-time greats, including a gentleman who was on the stage with you Friday night, Sandy Koufax, for the All-Century team at the All-Star game. Where does Friday night rank for you?
I don't know. I think somehow maybe Friday night even tops that. Again, when I was asked, I said, let's get Costas, let's get Nance, let's get, on that all-century thing. I don't actually like my voice. And then they were all, the guys were saying, no, Kev, you're the guy that should do this. And I'll tell you a small little story. Just before it happened, I was, very, very uncomfortable. Somebody wrote these beautiful cards on that all-century team, little 3x5s, and they managed to condense these players that we all think so much of really beautifully. I mean, it's hard to do. It's an art form to do it in 4 or 5 lines, but they did. And I remember about 3 hours before the show was going to take place in Boston, a producer came up to me and says, we're going to have to cut these in half. And I said, what? Because we're going to have to cut them in half. The show's going to be running long. I said, I'm not cutting them in half. I said, it was hard enough to get me out here. And I said, whoever took the time to write these got it just right when he was talking about Mays, when he was talking about Koufax. I said, he got it just right. And I said, if you need me to talk faster, I'm going to do that. I said, otherwise, I'm not doing it. And so there was this little kind of standoff. And they ended up saying, okay, let's do the whole thing. And for as upset as I was, or for as kind of nervous as I had been 3 or 4 days before that, I was on the field, and about 5 minutes before I walked out to the plate, I suddenly looked up and I thought, okay, I am the right guy. This felt just right to go out there, and that was magic. But talking about Vin, I was able to, craft my own journey about what I remember about him, always with everybody in the stands and watching on TV on my shoulder.
Kevin Costner, two-time Academy Award winner, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And that night in Boston, and just seeing, where you standing next to Vin, also, so many people associate you with the halcyon days of baseball because of Field of Dreams, for love of the game as well. That Field of Dreams, that day in Boston when the All-Century team was coming out of the garage in center field in Fenway Park, it did feel like they should have just maybe put some corn back there. And the author W.P. Kinsella just passed away last week. I'm wondering, was the author of W.P. Kinsella on the Field of Dreams set ever? Was that writer ever there?
No, I don't remember him. I don't really remember him being there. And I have been privileged to somehow brush up against these games and put them up in the form of 2-hour movies. And, Bull Durham, so many of the players just, and the college guys continue to watch that movie, to be able to play Crash. So I don't remember him actually on the set. Who I had on the set was Rod Dado. Came and was kind of the sports guy that was kind of watching for the director the things that could be done right or done better. Yeah,
the legendary college baseball coach who had folks like Mark McGuire in his midst when he was doing that. So when it all comes down to it, Kevin, I mean, sports movies and seeing things like, let's say, that played out in South Florida last night where the Marlins, remembering their fallen comrade, Jose Fernandez, cut down in the prime of his life at 24 and then hitting a home run. D. Gordon in his first at-bat, crying, going around the bases. I just remind you sometimes of what sports can do to heal in a way that we've seen in films. Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, the game is often thought of as really slow and kind of meanders, but there's these moments that you can't draw them up any better, and you're like you say, you're stunned by it. And I think, when we're young, and these guys are young for the most part. I'm not talking about Mattingly and the coaches who obviously felt the emotion. You saw it all over their faces. But I remember being in school the first time a kid in school died. It's not like your grandparents, right? It's not, even though you're close to your grandparents, maybe not even close to the kid in high school, but when someone's cut down that young, it alters us. There's a shift. And I don't know if you had that experience in any of your high school, the guys in the room had that, but there's something that happens. And when you see somebody young, somebody strong, somebody at your age, all of a sudden they're gone, there's a giant impact. And for that guy to start off on the right-hand side, take the helmet off, and take that ball out of the park and be able to round those bases, it's baseball all over again. And baseball continues to do that for us, as does football and basketball. But I think I said in the Vin Scully thing, the slow drift down the lazy river, it may be that, but baseball has a way of being electric.
And then on the day that Fernandez passed away, Arnold Palmer passed away that night on Sunday, Kevin. And I know in Tin Cup you had a fascinating, fun scene where you're imitating Arnold Palmer's swing. Did you ever come across Arnold Palmer in your days?
No, Arnold and I never did meet up. He was someone I watched early. Always seeing him with Player, Nicholas, Trevino. Those four were really the guy. And it wasn't a battle between two. It was a battle between the four of them. And Arnold was at the tail of his career, but really a great guy. Movie star handsome.
And before I let you go, I know again it's an honor to have been asked by Vin Scully, and that you were there, and you're a perfect voice for it. But I'm wondering, I know I would be after doing that, turning around and looking at Vin and asking, did I do okay for you? Did you have that moment when you turned to Vin Scully and just say, how'd you like it?
before I could say anything, he was just mouthing the words, to me. I tell you, I labored over this thing for a long, long time. The minute I said yes, I was almost mad at myself because I knew I was going to struggle with this for 2 weeks. The minute it was over, I was done. I was glad in a way. I took it really serious. And now I walk away from it, and it's a forever document between him and I and everyone who was able to see it and hear it and enjoy it on whatever level they could.
Kevin, thanks for calling in and taking the time here. Love to have you in studio when you're down in Los Angeles to talk more about all this neat stuff.
Yeah, perfect, guys. Thanks.
You got it. That's Kevin Costner right here on The Rich Eisen Show talking about Vin Scully, his tribute there, and what he said about it's baseball all over again is interesting because that's what everybody was talking about Jose Fernandez, Mattingly, his teammates, Eduardo Perez, when he was on the show yesterday about Jose Fernandez, is that he treated every game as if he was a little leaguer, that he brought a child's joy to the grown-ass man's league that Major League Baseball is, and how infectious it was. And to see what D. Gordon and the rest of the team did that last night, to say, you know what, it's baseball all over again, and it is a perfect way for him to put it. That's Kevin Costner here on The Rich Eisen Show, part of For What You Do every week here on The Rich Eisen Show, brought to you by Continental Tire. You'll see Continental Tire at sporting venues across the United States, and they're a proud supporter of IMSA Racing, Major League Soccer, and college basketball. Continental's premium products are available at leading independent tire dealers, car dealers, and mass retail companies across North America. For more information, visit ContinentalTire.com. Continental Tire, for what you do.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.